Welcome to Cardboard Craft Ideas for Kids. Here we have, as usual, a number of cookie cutter copycat crafts that were done with cardboard, and now we're going to see how to do cardboard crafts that is age and developmentally appropriate. There's something very important to know about cardboard. Here I just took a piece of cardboard and cut it. A regular scissor can cut cardboard very easily into various shapes. And one of the things to know about cardboard that's very important, and that cardboard is like a sandwich. There's pieces of paper attached to it, but in between you have these ridges, which we're going to use for something, but what they need to know is that they can stick things through here. We can stick pipe cleaners and we can stick wires. And this activity is what can they do with these wires and the pipe cleaners when they know that they can stick it through the ridges, the sandwich. So I had two 4-year-olds doing this. She stuck a pipe cleaner through one and then started noticing that it looks like a person, and she was waving it and she was done. This young man decided he wanted to make a robot. He also only used just one piece, and here again he used one piece. This was his robot, and this was his second piece just with one piece. So here's a way of using cardboard for stamping activities with paint. There are two ways to do so. You would take your pieces and take off the part, this part on the side, and then you would have to, I'm using the paint I used for the cardboard collages, got a little bit mixed up, but then you would have to use a brush and they would paint that, and then they can stamp, right? Different colors. Okay, another way, if you're going to use the edges, is you would have to put the paint into some kind of plate like this because you want to dip this in. So you would dip it in like this, and then they can create that side, and I happen to have a whole bunch that I did with some students many years ago. I'll show you how they use the sides of the cardboard for this. Here are some old samples of when we used only black paint for the sides of the cardboard. There is another thing that you can do if you want to cut the cardboard into shape. So let's say for a tree, right? Okay, this is mixed up, but I'm going to just use this color, and you just put it down like this, and then you have the texture of the shape, and you can stamp it that way. So when looking through my old photos, I found these, another way of stamping, where I cut them into shapes, used pipe cleaners to hold them, and then they held onto them and used those as regular stamps. Paper towel rolls and toilet paper rolls can also be used. They're also cardboard. Much easier if you cut them. Well, you could use the edges like this also, and then you could push them like this, where you can stick them right into the paint that's on a plate or any other surface that's holding them. And then sometimes if you don't feel you're getting enough paint on it, you can just take a paintbrush and paint with it, and then you could squish them into various different sizes, circles, more oval, any way you want. And of course you can use many different colors to create your stamped cardboard rows, just as we see over here. You can also do cardboard rubbings with the peeled cardboard. I actually had this also in my texture video. So you peel off all the pieces, you can cut them into any shapes, and once they're all peeled, you just place a piece of thinner paper, copy paper. You use peeled oil pastels or crayons. I was cleaning them with a scissor like that if they got too dirty. And then you put them under the paper and you rub. You could do them any shape. It could be for a theme. It could just be random shapes, and you use the peeled oil pastels and crayons. Now we'll do cardboard collages, but they painted the pieces first. I cut a whole bunch of pieces. They painted them all. We let them dry. And then here we will make collages. Here is one 4-year-old, uses lots of glue. Not much thought. Glue is more important, I think, than the cardboard pieces. I was able to show her how to spread her glue, which she had poured all over the place. Once she gets her glue all over the place, she creates her collage on top of the circle that I gave. Here is one, and then there's another 4-year-old that has more thought to it. So these cardboard puppets are also from another video, but what you do is you cut up enough pieces, one that could be a bunch that can be the bodies, some that could be the heads. Yes, you can cut them into circles, or if they want to cut them into circles, then you need enough for the arms and the legs. Maybe the arms would be shorter. They choose which ones they want. They can either staple them if that works, or you can help them use a hot glue gun to add them together. Then you give them all sorts of materials, such as these, to decorate their puppets. Then here is how I have them hold it. I turn it over. I make a little feet with a piece of tag board. I use a hot glue gun to put one side down, fold the other side, glue that down, and then it is a very easy way for them to hold this. Of course, you can use a large stick if you have, but this I find is a very easy way for them to use the puppets. Then we have these cardboard ornaments. I do admit that I found this idea somewhere online. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly where. I cut notches. You can use a scissor, or you could use that canary cardboard cutter that I've used for construction. Then you give them various colors of yarn, and you just allow them to kind of weave. They can do as much as they want with it. There's no rules except that they just can put them through the notches, and then you could use these as ornaments, and they can be hung. This last one, cardboard weaving looms, also was from another video, but it was cardboard. So I take a piece of cardboard and I create lines where I'm going to create those notches. Cut the notches. You can use the cardboard cutter for the notches. I'm just using some scissors. You're creating the notches because then we're going to warp it. And how we warp it is we use some kind of string. I put some tape on the back. Now what I'm doing is I'm just doing one side. I'm not going all the way over. That's because I find that they get a little bit more confused with weaving when they do it as to which side they can be weaving on. But if they're able to be careful and just weave on one side, then you can definitely do it all around. It actually is a little bit easier when you finish to tie it together. But once you have it all warped, you can use a needle. I'm using a needle here because it's a little easier, and they go in and out and in and out and in and out. And I'm using fat yarn here because it fills up faster as opposed to the skinny yarn. When you're all finished, you could do it as much as you want, then you cut off the edges, or you could take off the tape, and then you tie it together. As I mentioned, if you do it all the way around and you cut it in the back, then it would be easier to tie. If you see, I'm struggling a little bit because the pieces of the warp are, the loom, the warp are a little smaller, and if I had it all the way around, I would cut it into the back and it would be easier to tie. But there's your loom. If you're interested in finding more about creative art and how to switch from cookie cutter crafts to more creative art, go to eduartforkids.com.